honest opinion, what do you think of the new Circle Sox NJ Gourmet collab? What do you think?
I love it, actually. It's like,
These are for you.
wow. I totally thank you. You're so gracious. I am very gracious of it. I would definitely wear these in the summer.
Quit horsing around. What do you think of them?
I think they're epic, honestly. I would totally wear these. Like, I wear anything, if it's free, it's for me.
Yeah. I mean, listen, dude. This is a long-time partnership. We wanted to put some sort of swag out as something little, like, simple to, like, kind of give to the customers. Hook people up, throw them out.
Totally get it.
Maybe get the short ones soon. Maybe do some flip-flops. Yeah. Well, all right, let's just get into it. Welcome to the Fantasy Wise Guys. We are your hosts. I am Mike Meals.
Joey Puma.
We're here to bring you the news post-draft. Please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. The Fantasy Wise Guys, our Instagram page. We've been working on it. I know we've been saying it for a while. Puma's been busting my chops.
Listen, man, after a while, we have so much content, it's just a build-up, and it's like, oh my God, like, especially with the draft, which we're going to go about in a couple of minutes. I just feel like it's just so much we have to share with the fans and people that love watching us that I just can't wait anymore. I can't.
So we've been working on like an intro video because we didn't want to like be like simple and just, not do anything, just start posting. Me and Puma, Len, we were all talking, we're like, we got to make a sick, impactful video. That's what Len's been working on, right, Len? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Len's been working on it. Yeah. We've been trying to like collab and figure out what the best ways are. But anyway, follow Fantasy Wise Guys IG because you're going to see a whole lot of stuff, and we'll bring you the news. Puma, this is the post-draft review.
Yes, I am psyched. And, especially we had a lot of our favorites land in the spots that we thought they would. I know we had our mock draft, our preview before, the draft started this past Thursday. But I know mine was a little wild. I know your predictions, you had some good predictions as well.
We both did. We were both on point.
Yeah, I just feel like at the end of the day, they went where they were supposed to go. And this means fantasy talk. As soon as the draft is over, now the next stage is 2 weeks from now. We get to know May 14th schedule release. And this is very big for fantasy.
Huge.
Especially playoffs and knowing how matchups are going to be, right? When your guys, if you're in a keeper league or a dynasty league, when are they going to have their buys? That is very important, especially going into these drafts. Are we going to have 2 quarterbacks? Are we going to have 3 quarterbacks? What is your strategy going to be? The schedules, behold all of that.
Yeah, man. It's basically the start of the fantasy season.
Yes.
Right now, 2025, 2026 season has basically begun. You'll probably see a lot more deals happen. I see Tyler Lockett randomly got signed to the Titans and little random moves. And there's still some guys out there. Rodgers, Cooper.
Yesterday actually morning, George Kittle re-signed.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Going into fantasy drafts, if you want to wait on tight end a little bit, you don't want the top 3 guys. You could wait on Kittle. He's going to be important in the offense. They just re-signed him, so that gives fantasy owners reassurance. And we'll see, man. But let's jump into it.
I mean, I'm ready, dude. So, the draft was pretty interesting. We were obviously texting the entire time. Right. Puma and I were constantly staying, up to date with we weren't texting each other at the exact time because sometimes some people's TV plays a little sooner than another one, for streaming.
Yeah.
I was using Xfinity. What were you using?
Well, I usually use NFL Plus.
Oh, you were using that too, yeah.
But that was day 2. Day 2, I was using NFL Plus. I'm not really the cable guy, but I usually watch the first day, the first night with my father. And he's old school, so he's got the Verizon Fios. So I was up to date, right on the
money, yeah.
And then without Dad, things get a little tighter, So,
I know.
so streaming is the way.
That's why we weren't texting each other exactly at the end of each pick.
Wait, he would go
to give ourselves a buffer period.
He would go, Henderson. I'm like, wait, hold that thought.
At one point, he was texting me. He's like, "Dude, I can't wait to see Henderson go." Where did you think he was going to land? The Browns or something?
I thought he was going to land the Browns, or Pittsburgh would have been another option.
I think it was Pittsburgh. You kept thinking he was going to go right there, and I saw him get drafted already to the Patriots, and I just said, "It's not Henderson. It's or something like that." I said, "It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad."
I just
and I'm like, or no, like obviously everybody knows the Shedeur Sanders stuff. So, when the Raiders were coming up or the Browns were coming up, but this is second and third round. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna probably take him here, and then you go, we will see.
I mean, I said it from day one. I did not like Shedeur Sanders. We did have him high in the rankings, and as you guys all saw, he dropped drastically. This might be one of the biggest drops in NFL history when it comes to where he was drafted versus where he was predicted. But I was having him predicted high in the top 10 to go to the Saints at 9 because of the consensus around them. But the NFL really showed us this year that in the end, they weren't too highly favorable of this quarterback class.
No, not at all. But, as we spoke about, it wasn't really a high talented offensive class. But for it being talked about that way, I think it was the most drama-filled draft I've ever seen before, and it also became the most watched draft ever.
Unbelievable! I saw
in
the
NFL
numbers.
history. Now, does a part play into it of Shedeur Sanders? Absolutely. There's a reason why people are watching on day 2 and day 3. They wanted to see where Deion's son would land. That's part of it as well. But I think in the end, Shedeur didn't interview well. It just goes as simple as that. I know he could come off arrogant, and I'm not a fan of his personality, right, or the arrogance. But also, too, I could see from a personal standpoint where his confidence could come off as cockiness. I always used to tell people there's a fine line, right? There's cockiness, conceitedness, and then there's, all right, I'm confident, I'm the man, I'm going to get it done, right? But for me, Shedeur eventually lands with Cleveland, who we're going to start off with. And I truly believe, it's going to work out. I think Cleveland had one of the top 3 drafts this year. I mean, based upon, who they got, Mason Graham, and the trade that they made with Jacksonville, the running back we'll get into as well. And, just getting Shedeur at that price in the 5th round, whether, people want to make a joke about it or anything like that, it's still great value. All scouts had this guy going in the 1st round, if not a day 2 pick. He was a day 3 pick. So for me, there's great value there. And you know what? It's time to put up or shut up. Literally work in silence, and let's see where we end up.
Yeah, and honestly, look, I'm not predicting much for Shedeur Sanders this year.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. They did draft 2 quarterbacks. They now have 5 total quarterbacks on the roster. We said today we were going to break down the picks. AFC, we'll do AFC first.
Right.
Then we'll do NFC next episode.
Correct.
So for now, we're going to read down all the fantasy relevant teams.
Right.
Go over every team that had somebody that is going to be valuable in terms of fantasy. And we're going to give you our overall ranking on them. And I think the best move to start with is the Browns, being that we're on the subject. They are number 1 on the list. And they made a shocking trade in the middle of the draft where they had the number 2 pick.
Right.
We all thought Travis Hunter was going to go there.
Right.
And they traded it to Jacksonville for the number 5.
Right.
And yeah, like you said, Mason Graham they got, but they did land Quinshawn Judkins at the 36th pick and Dylan Sampson in the 4th round, day 3 pick. So between both these running backs, how are you feeling about the value? Because I was big on Quinshawn Judkins.
Well, I'm big on Judkins and Sampson. Shout out to my boy Dylan Sampson from Fort Lee, because there is another guy named Dylan Sampson. He was my camper, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it is a true story.
Same name?
Same name, swear to God.
Same spelling, D-Y?
Yeah, just not the
Wow.
Sampson part, but it's pronounced that, which is kind of funny. Anyhow, I truly feel that having both these running backs just spells no return for Mr. Nick Chubb.
Definitely.
Let's just bring that up just for a tidbit that, Nick Chubb is 90% all done in Cleveland. He will be finding a home elsewhere. Now, moving on, to these picks, I feel like they are very important in fantasy, especially with the Stefanski offense.
They're going to look to run the ball.
Right, when Nick Chubb was there, he was running that ball basically 70% of the time in that offense, even before Watson came, right? So for me, the run game will help, whether it's Shador, Joe Flacco, Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, whoever is behind center. The run game will be the centerpiece of this team and the offense. And you sprinkle in a little bit of Dylan Sampson there. I truly feel like they did a great job in the draft.
Yeah, no, and I think that's exactly going to be that same 1-2 punch that you were seeing with Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford before the injury happened 2 years ago. And now you're going to see Quinshon Judkins, who's also a big, angry style runner, bigger guy, strong.
Yeah.
You're going to see him kind of fill in that role, and I think this definitely lowers a guy like Jerome Ford's value down. Obviously, he's not going to make him as relevant this year.
If you guys out there watch the Ohio State, because that's where he's from, Judkins, you could see like this dude was dominating in the national championship. He had 2 touchdowns, almost had 3. He was just going off, catching, getting yak after the catch, running style. He's a great pick, and I think he's going to be a stud for them.
Yeah, and that was my sleeper, Len. You're going to have to play that clip. Judkins, though, is the one who's being kind of like undershadowed by Henderson. Keep an eye out for this guy. This was my sleeper pick. I liked Quinshon. Let's see what happens. So anyway, now next topic, Denver Broncos. In round 2, they drafted R.J. Harvey out of UCF. They also picked up a wide receiver, Pat Bryant from Illinois.
Okay. I truly feel that Pat Bryant, from the wide receiver standpoint, might have some value down the road. I mean, you still have to deal with Cortland Sutton. They
got a couple guys, Marvin Mims over there.
Right. You got a couple of guys in front of them. But like anything else, injuries happen.
And they have Evan Ingram now.
Right. Fantasy owners out there, just keep that in the back of your mind. But in terms of R.J. Harvey, he is the centerpiece of this draft.
The word is that Sean Payton was basically eyeing him from the gate, that they had been watching film on him. They've been studying him, that this was the guy they specifically wanted to draft.
I'm going to give you guys
and that's who they picked.
I'm going to give you guys a name out there, Bucky Irving. His running style, the way he glides, he literally looks like Bucky Irving. And especially the way he runs in between the tackles, I could definitely see him project as that. We'll see how they work him in the offense. I know they have a veteran there. Oh, they have McLaughlin.
Well, they got Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime.
Right. So those guys, they'll take a little bit of the load. But this guy, I wouldn't project more than week 3 that he's going to take over. And especially Sean Payton offenses, they love to run the ball. Think about when he was with the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. You got that quick passing game. But what made that quick passing game so prevalent was the run game with Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. This guy will be no different. They'll pair him up with Estime or McLaughlin, like we said, on 3rd down. Great pick. I think it's going to work out for them. Definitely someone to keep an eye on in rookie drafts.
Big time, because now basically the fact that Sean Payton put a stamp on this guy, eyeing him from the draft, scouting him, or from the combine, scouting him. They've been watching film on him. He's going to be a producer. They don't have Javonte anymore.
Right.
Also, low key, I gotta say, this offseason has been a win for Bo Nix. He's getting some weapons, tight ends, wide receivers.
Yeah,
Let's see what happens with Denver.
Definitely a later round pick. I feel Bo Nix will be a great pick for fantasy owners out there who wait on quarterback.
Absolutely. So the next team we're going to get into from the AFC, Houston Texans. The Texans now, their first pick off the board, which was a round 2 pick, they took Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. Mm-hmm. We had mentioned him. Big win for C.J. Stroud, and now he'll be alongside Nico Collins over there with no Tank Dell.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely hurts Christian Kirk a little bit. Again, Jaden Higgins, nothing to sneeze at. He's a round 2, 34th pick overall. This guy is going to be playing day 1. And to me, he projects as Nico Collins. Oddly enough, the guy that's on the same team. Big, strong, can go in between the tackles when running. I truly feel that this guy is going to be a stud. And again, like he produced at Iowa State.
Iowa State,
So
yeah.
for me, I feel like it's someone that C.J. Stroud can take to the next level.
You're right. He's 6'4". It says he's got a 39-inch vertical. Strong guy, athletic.
He's literally Nico Collins in the mirror. It's crazy.
Big win for C.J. Stroud, nonetheless. And they also, not only did they take him, they took Jalen Noel in the third round. So they drafted two Iowa State wide receivers, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins. So these guys, I mean, they went all out, and they truly believed in these two guys because clearly, I mean, look, one guy, a little small slot runner being Jalen Noel, also super athletic, 41.5-inch vertical, broad jump was 11.5. I mean, that's unbelievable. 4.39 he ran in the 40.
Yeah, I totally think that this player is going to be someone that maybe long term can help them. Right now, again, like the Denver Broncos situation, you have guys in front of them. You still got to worry about the vet, Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins with the draft day capital, and obviously Nico Collins, who's
Definitely
a first-round pick in fantasy all the way.
But yeah, they made some key picks all across the board. The next team we got here on the slate. Oh, so the Indianapolis Colts. This was an interesting one because people were saying that Tyler Warren could fall down to the 14th pick.
Right.
He even got a prank phone call at the 7th pick. You saw that? Just like Shador, just like your boy Shador.
Yes, he did. I felt like that was a known thing that was going on, and obviously a little messed up, but go on.
But anyway, look, man, we all were kind of expecting to see him in the first round at the 7th pick to the Jets. They skipped on him. And even another tight end, which we'll get into later on, got drafted before him, being Colston Loveland. But the Colts settled on Tyler Warren. I don't remember the Colts having a good, valuable tight end in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a quick, easy dump off of Richardson. Could we possibly see a Brock Bowers 2.0? Like, what do we got in store here?
You see, for me, I feel like Tyler Warren, though, like, obviously I wanted the Jets to get him, and I was big on that. But at the end of the day, who's throwing to him, Mike?
Who was throwing to Brock Bowers?
I understand that, and I totally get that. But also, too, I feel like the Raiders just had such a bad defense. And this is why I say, guys, game script plays a little a part of this. Why? Because the Raiders had to keep coming back. And to be honest, they did not have any other weapons. It was Jacoby Myers and friends. Like, their running back was Amir Abdullah. On the Colts, you have to worry about Jonathan Taylor. On the Colts, you have to worry about Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones running the ball into the end zone.
Yeah, Josh Downs.
Michael Pittman. Josh Downs. So there's more weapons
Alec
to be
Pierce.
had. Actually, Tyler Warren, I know I had said he projects as George Kittle. But the more and more I see him, I don't know why he gives me Dallas Clark vibes from back in the day. But then again,
kind of gives me Shockey vibes, and I don't know if it's because of the hair.
I think it's because of the hair. Yeah, we're both getting like those kind of vibes. All honesty, for long term, I think he's going to be great for fantasy once the Colts figure out the tight end position. Honestly, if I am someone who drafts Tyler Warren, I want Daniel Jones as the quarterback because he made, a la 2 years ago, when it was Dable's first year, he made Daniel Bellinger, a streamer for tight end, and Daniel Jones loved the tight end over the middle. And when Daniel Jones is producing and he's running the ball, it's something that linebackers and defenses have to think of, leaves the open middle, open up the seam, and he loves throwing to the tight end. So that I would watch out for.
That's kind of what I'm expecting, is that someone like Anthony Richardson might look for the quick dump-offs, and this could be a big opportunity for him. I'm excited to see a lot of these offenses.
Right.
So this one's interesting. The next one, probably one of my favorite ones here, Jacksonville Jaguars. Puma, you had them pegged for landing Who was it? You thought they were going to
Genty.
go Genty at 5, and then they
Yeah.
surprised the whole world, and they traded with the Browns at the
Right.
second pick, 5-2 swap. They took Travis Hunter.
Yeah, for me, Travis Hunter not only is the best wide receiver in this draft, honestly, I think he is the best cornerback in this draft. And for a guy like that, Gladstone, the Jacksonville GM, actually said something in his speech, and he basically said what I'm going to say is, to paraphrase, we did not only draft Travis Hunter because of his skills, we drafted Travis Hunter because he's a difference maker. You know what I mean? In life,
Definitely.
He
All-around
is
player.
a specimen.
Yeah.
And they want something different in Jacksonville. This creates buzz. Not that Genty wouldn't have created buzz by any means, but this sends a message to not only people in Florida, but the NFL universe, that Jacksonville is serious and they want to win. And they need someone else other than BTJ to make Trevor Lawrence the quarterback that he should be. And Liam Cohen brought back to life Baker Mayfield, and he will do the same with Trevor Lawrence.
And I was kind of saying last time that I had a sneaky suspicion that Trevor Lawrence could be like a low-key sleeper, somebody that can produce a lot this year, and this kind of solidifies it.
Right.
Also, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, they still have their job. Although they did draft Bashaw Tutin, we talked about in the Combine episode. Bashaw Tutin, now fast guy, so they have a lot of options. Bashaw Tutin did every category best at the Combine for running backs. Again, another small style player. Reminded me of HN, that was my comparison. But yeah, I think these are all massive weapons. I think this BTJ's value goes up. I think Trevor Lawrence's value goes up.
Yeah.
In general, all these guys.
No, absolutely. But definitely, I would, in fantasy drafts, temper my expectations with Hunter, just because we want to see how Liam Cohen uses him. At the end of the day, at worst, I truly believe he'll be a flex play. He will
Absolutely.
have standalone value.
This is Tyron Tracy Jr., running back for the New York Giants. I just want to give a shout out to MJ Gourmet. They my favorite spot to go to. They do all my meal preps. If you're ever looking for a spot to come eat, man, come on down here to Jersey, man. Come get you some food. And they got the best sandwich out, the TTJ sandwich. That's actually fire.
Yeah, no, look, man, I can't wait to see what happens over there. But yeah, no, that it's really he's a risky pick. The next team, it's funny too, because like I want to go over other teams like the Bengals or the Ravens, but there's a lot like teams like this. They weren't focused on offensive value. They were really looking on.
At the end of the day, I mean, when you sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, I think you should try to protect the quarterback and get to other people's quarterback.
That's what they were drafting. A lot of these other teams, that's why we're not going to talk about them. They were looking for tackles, guards, linemen, edge players, cornerbacks, you name it. So next guy we got on the slate, actually, we were just talking about them, the Las Vegas Raiders. And they were the ones who we predicted. I had said that Ashton Genty could land there. That was a potential landing spot. We talked about the owner really wanting him, his family really wanting him.
Right.
And immediately after that first-round pick, at the 6th spot, they took Genty. And then at pick 58 in the second round, they took Jack Beck, which was another big one.
This is
a wide receiver, sorry.
This
TCU.
is a wide receiver, TCU. And honestly, Mike, he projects to me as Cooper Kupp. The size, the great ball skills. I believe he's a senior. I'm not too sure, but I love.
Yeah, he's 22, so he had to be.
He has some age. He's been in school. I love seniors because day one they're plug and play. And let's be honest, on the Raiders, other than Brock Bowers, who we just spoke about, who else is getting targets in that offense? Nobody. That's it. It's Brock Bowers, Genty in the backfield. And with Jack Beck, I truly believe that he could ascend as their number one eventually. Temper expectations. But I would definitely take him at an end of a draft, stash him on my bench, and see how Pete Carroll and that offense uses him.
As of now, the Genty pick definitely raises the value of at least guys like Geno Smith, even Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers.
Absolutely,
bringing
because
some production to the offense.
Absolutely, and what's the biggest thing about fantasy? People will get mad. Oh, the Raiders are adding this one, that one, and I'm a Brock Bowers owner. No, you should be loving it because at the end of the day, you need to get first downs. You need the chains to move, and Brock Bowers cannot throw it to himself, and he cannot run the ball. I mean, he could, but
we don't think so.
We don't think
he
so.
Might.
He might, but at the end of the day, he is just one guy amongst many, and we need to move the chains. So the more talent the offense has, the better he could get open for a bigger play down the sideline.
I sent Puma a screenshot. I was doing a mock draft the other day. Immediately after, just so you know, mock drafts are available right after the
this
NFL
this
draft.
guy is on his first mock draft now. I would say by September. When do we draft? After Labor Day?
I usually do at least one a day.
Yeah. He's gonna be on 100. And Mike, how many do I do?
You don't do any, I guess, but he secretly lies about it. He does it somehow.
I swear.
You gotta
I do
know
not.
the values, though. You gotta know.
No, but I know you
point
should
is,
listen to
Genty's
him.
getting
Yes.
first round pick right now. People are taking him in the first round. I'm personally not.
No, I totally get
You
why.
probably would.
I totally get why people would pick him in the first round because I've done some crazy stuff before. But at the end of the day, let's wait for training camp. Let's see how guys are being utilized. At the end of the day, he is the number, sixth pick of the draft.
Yeah.
It is very high capital. But at that, Ezekiel Elliott, when he came into the league, or Todd Gurley, or any of these high capital picks, they didn't start out being the starter. Sometimes the team likes to send a little message, try to earn it, and that player gets it down the road. But wait and see approach.
Yeah. I mean, listen, keep your eye on him. And obviously, as the draft or as the season gets closer,
Right.
those rankings tend to fall. Some people rise, etc.
And we'll be having our rankings as well as we're getting closer.
Of course. So the next big team to talk about, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oof.
They got your boy.
They got my boy Hampton in. The problem is my other boy is on the same team. Najee Harris. I mean, listen,
my
Najee.
boy.
If we could have a violin play right now. You were up, and then now you're down. I mean, literally, to go from one end of the spectrum to the other in a matter of a month is crazy to me. The Chargers go out and sign this guy, great. But now, you have Hampton with the capital, the draft day capital.
Omar and Hampton, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this guy's going to play. And, honestly, people thought I was crazy when I said, oh, Hampton might be in the better situation. The Chargers are a better situation. I mean, John Harbaugh is running that ball.
Yep.
That wing T offense. You saw what he did to J.K. Dobbins. I'm being honest.
Absolutely.
And in rookie drafts, this should be your number 2 pick overall. Just for the pure fact, listen, the top 2 or 3 picks should be running backs, in my opinion, for rookie drafts, just because, again, they're so fragile. There's not too many of them. You need to pounce on them. Right now, off the top of my head, it would be Genty, Hampton, and probably R.J. Harvey, just because of opportunity
and protection,
talent,
yeah.
and those teams love to run the ball. But going back to Hampton Inn, I truly feel is a great spot for him, even though it diminishes Najee a little bit. But I still think Najee could have Austin Eckler kind of vibes and give us some standalone flex play.
Well, basically, they're going to be, if we're comparing from the previous year,
Right.
You're going to basically be the Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins of Harbaugh's offense. And the first 2 picks that the Chargers made were offensive picks because they knew they needed some more offensive weapons.
Right.
Their defense is stacked, although they did draft some. But their first 2 picks, Omari and Hampton at the 22nd pick, and then the number 2 pick for them, 55, was wide receiver Trey Harris
Which
from
I love.
Mississippi. So they're adding some more weapons on the outside.
Which I love. I know Mike and I were going back and forth about it, and I'm like, I hadn't watched too much tape on Trey Harris, I will admit, but I did say to him, they have Mike Williams, they have Lad McConkey, and watching his tape, honestly, right now, talent-wise, I think he's the best receiver on the Chargers. I know it sounds crazy.
Well, they don't have many besides Lad McConkey.
Right. So due to not having top 3 talent at the wide receiver position, like Lad McConkey, honestly sounds to me like looks like to me like a glorified Julian Edelman, right? Like he's gonna get your yak, he's gonna get over the middle, but again, you needed a pure number 1. I truly believe watching his tape, Trey Harris could bring that, especially on those go routes, because Quentin Johnson is a total bust, and I don't think he makes it to minicamp, but that's me.
All right, now next team, New England Patriots. So New England Patriots, they got Travion Henderson, huge pick for them, 2nd round. So now that can definitely maybe affect some people's value, like Ramondre Stevenson.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of was hoping for somewhere better for him to go. I feel like he's going to be kind of caught up over there, and he's on a not so good team that isn't a rebuild and a new coach over there. So there's a lot to be expected.
I truly believe by week 7 or week 5, Henderson will take over the starting role. I know last year Ramondre had some fumbling problems, and that's a big no-no for a Mike Vrabel team. So for me, I feel like
if you have a couple of fumbles like that, you're going to end up on the bench.
Right, and
Absolutely.
and Vrabel's a no-nonsense guy, but also, too, like, this is what I want everyone to take in. If your name is not Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, you will and can be replaced, especially when a new regime comes in. You see, Bill Belichick drafted Ramondre Stevenson. Gerard Mayo was on that staff, so he inherited him. He loved him. But coming in, Vrabel was not on that staff. Guys that are not on that staff have no allegiance to the guys that are there already. That's why there were rumblings about Breece Hall being dealt, Garrett Wilson being dealt.
In the end, that's why there's a lot of these running backs that you're going to have to watch this year, because running backs do take over, especially young rookie running backs. So, that should be interesting.
Yeah, especially when a new regime comes in.
Yeah, it's going to be, not the best fit for him, but he's obviously somebody that you got to watch out for. So The next team, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oof.
This was another juicy one. You had some winners here.
Right.
Let me pull best back up. You had some winners. Caleb Johnson was drafted.
A lot of my
round.
boys are on here. I love their draft.
They did. They really stuck to their defense also. Some edge guys, some tackles, linebackers, cornerbacks. But they did draft Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa, in the 3rd round. And then in the 6th round, they took Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State. So that looks like a little assurance. There was rumors that they knew 2 days before the draft what Rodgers' decision was, from what I understand. Something like that.
Caleb Johnson, to me, projects, you guys are going to know this name, Arian Foster. I truly believe in that offense as well. Mike Tomlin, a defensive mind, is going to love to run the ball. He has some shiftiness to him, and especially can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is huge for fantasy. And let's face it, this does hurt our other boy, the incumbent Jaylen Warren. I mean, now Jaylen Warren is probably, he'll probably start the year, whatever, because he's a veteran.
He might stay in there.
But I think Caleb Johnson, before it's all said and done, will take over.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I feel like Caleb Johnson is going to basically replace Najee Harris, except Jaylen Warren might get more touches. Well, who knows, man? Supposedly the reason why his grade was a little down was because, he didn't run the 40 too good. The 10-yard split was low. They gave him a low athleticism score in the combine. So I don't know. I mean, it's really tough to see
for me
right away, without seeing him in the game.
Even though I knew the player and I had watched his tape prior to, and all these statistics you're giving us is totally correct, at the end of the day, Pittsburgh always knows what they're doing. They're a good franchise. They draft good players, and not for anything, they'll take somebody in the 3rd, 4th round, and they will become a stud. That's what they did to Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. They even
drafted Najee. They even drafted Jaylen Warren.
Dude, like they will take a guy and mold him into their system, and he will become a stud. I'll leave it at that. And even Will Howard, right? Like, people might laugh at Will Howard. Honestly, for 2027, it's not a bad pick in rookie drafts. If you take him in the 4th round or 5th round or something like that, honestly, Will Howard is not a bad pick. And if he's produced the right way and gets to sit behind, hopefully, Rodgers signs, it could be someone for utilization down the road.
Next team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This really only
This
had
was a surprise for me.
So they had wide receiver go at the 19th pick, Emeka Egbuka, which was also a big surprise for me too. As you know, the Buccaneers already have Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. Both guys are on extensions. You have
Jalen
now McMillan, and now Emeka. So, I mean, Baker Mayfield, this is huge for them.
Oh, the biggest winner out of this is Baker Mayfield.
And I don't think it affects Evans or Godwin that much, but they're looking at the future. McMillan, though.
McMillan, I would watch out for if, people who have him in dynasty rosters, keep him. Don't get rid of him. Because I truly feel towards the end of preseason or whatever, he could be a trade candidate and go to a team that really needs a wide receiver or a number 2 like a Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. So, I mean, that one's pretty cut and dry. I think the running backs are good, but Baker Mayfield, huge winner. Keep an eye out for him. He could be a nice little mid-round quarterback pick.
Yeah, and to me, Baker Mayfield today, or even before this, Baker Mayfield, Baker's dozen. He was a QB1 before this draft, and now he's a resounding QB1.
You know what's also funny is that he also had the attitude kind of like Shedeur Sanders, but he didn't get as much hate as Shedeur.
Baker did get some hate. I'm not going to lie. But you see, the only thing is if his name was Deion Jones rather than Deion Sanders, there's a difference. So I think my boy will turn it on eventually, work in silence, and show some people. But we'll see.
Now, one of the last teams, before we get to our favorite one, the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans, they did draft the number 1 quarterback on the board, the number 1 overall pick of the draft, Mr. Cam Ward from Miami. You know, it remains to be seen. They are trying to add weapons for him.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about it before the show. Tyler Lockett. They did have Calvin Ridley already there. Treylon Burks is on thin ice. I don't know how much of a factor he'll be. But with all those names there, because they did have a lot of picks going in there, Cam Ward, I'm basically looking at like a Caleb Williams season. Right?
Same.
I feel like Brian Callahan is not that good. Please write this down. I feel like he is not that good. I feel like he is like Eberflus of last year, and he's a lame duck, and they'll be attractive spot for a head coach next year.
In redraft, would you be willing to take him like Cam Ward with like the 14th pick as like one of your last picks? You're not even going to stash him on the bench?
I would not. I would not even stash him. It's not like a Jaden Daniels situation or anything like that. For me, he is Caleb Williams this year, and he might have some streaming value down the road or bye-week filler. But for me, I want to take a flyer on a guy that if I'm going to take a flyer on, let it be a skill position.
Yeah.
Let it be a young man that we didn't bring up, but I was DJ Giddens, right? From the Colts, running back, right? Like, this guy was top 10 in the running backs coming out, and I truly believe with Jonathan Taylor's injury history and stuff like that, why not stash him in the last round out of Kansas State? Can be something that could be utilized down the road, especially how the Colts run the ball.
Yeah, now look, I think just keep an eye on maybe Calvin Ridley. He might get a little bit better value than last year. Also, we don't even know if Cam Ward is going to be the starter yet. It's still a lot of training camp. Obviously, he's projected, but he hasn't gotten the role yet. Regardless,
Caleb Williams situation.
We'll figure it out.
Levis is...
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start, or let's finish with save the best for last year.
Right.
The New York Jets. I was a little...
I truly believe a solid B. For me, I don't like the pick. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, we want our team to win. Membo is a great pick in terms of if you want to build the Great Wall of China, hopefully, and having the two bookends, it makes sense from NFL standpoint, right? But watching the game and seeing how many times the Jets strike out on offensive tackles, it kind of not only gets boring, but it gets frustrating. All the way back to 2020, we took Becton over Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. Justin Jefferson, how's that worked out? We took last year Fashanu over Brock Bowers. How's that working out? And this year we took this schlub over Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. So for me, I feel like we're just letting talent go by and just keep settling for tackles when we could have got one later on. But
yeah,
we don't have a pick. Mike and I don't have a pick.
I also think that, Justin Fields is the biggest winner from this because, like you said, the number 1 pick that we drafted, or our first round pick, the number 7 was Armand Membo. And then round 2, we took tight end Mason Taylor, who was my sleeper pick from the Combine episode. So, Fields got some more offensive weapons. Mason Taylor could be productive. He might be streamable in fantasy or a good late round pick in a redraft.
That was a really good, the morning of, I had some people text me and they were like, oh, where do you feel like the Jets are going to go? And my first inkling looking at best available was Mason Taylor. He has the bloodline, right, of his father, Jason Taylor, former New York Jet, but most notably as a Miami Dolphin. And to be honest, Nick Saban actually came out yesterday and said when they were recruiting Mason Taylor, they really wanted him, and he picked LSU over Alabama. So that tells you all you need to know. I think he is very young. I think he's very raw. And honestly, if the Jets don't make that pick, I'm probably in a bummer mood. I think Mason Taylor can be somebody, and I project him as a Zach Ertz type.
Yeah, we'll see how
if utilized properly.
He could be sneaky in fantasy. I mean, you might not want to draft him, but keep your eye on him.
Yeah,
so,
waiver wire ad later on.
Yeah, So who's your overall biggest winner of this draft?
Out of the AFC?
Yeah, I'll go first. Listen, I will have to go back to what we talked about earlier. The Los Angeles Chargers did add Omarion Hampton and Trey Harris. I think for somebody like Justin Herbert, who went so low last year, I think he's a big-time winner. I think you can actually see some value in him. This guy might be able to end up a top 5 QB, and you can get him late, 8th, 9th round, 10th round.
Yeah.
I think you could really see some big value from him. Added wide receiver, and now has a really good running core behind him.
For me, Cleveland Browns. I know some people are not going to like it, but at the end of the day, it's not because I'm a big Shador fan. It's more about the value. Right? Starting off, you get Shador in the 5th round. I mean, listen, this guy was projected to go top 10.
You got Shador.
You got Judkins, and you got my boy Dylan Sampson, who, it just makes for more depth in the running back room. And, God forbid something happens to him or Ford, Sampson's stepping right into that role.
So who's your biggest winner player?
For the AFC? Oh, Judkins, for sure.
So Judkins was your guy.
Yeah, Judkins. But if we're going by team, it would be the Browns. But for me, Judkins, because with no Nick Chubb, I truly feel he steps into that starter role and to take on, all the load.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, but the biggest loser I could say from this whole draft, I'll go back to, I can name 2 guys just so I don't single out the Browns. Jerome Ford, big time loser.
Oh yeah.
He's now got 2, not just 1, but 2 rookie running backs drafted there.
Right.
And also, we talked about it earlier, Jalen McMillan, having Ekbuka now go there, Godwin back, Mike Evans. I mean, these players, once they get oversaturated and they're already not that high in the depth chart, you can really risk a lot of playing time. And
yeah, no, I totally get it. For me, it's Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, with the fumbling problems, and he got the contract last year with a high capital pick coming in with Henderson and his talents. And let's face it, NFL, not for long, especially at the running back position. That's a truly, sad part, and I truly feel he's the biggest loser. My
That's a good one.
My other biggest loser, I mean, we go right to Marion Hampton and Najee Harris. And Najee Harris, you know, they bring him in again. Like, these guys are not that old. You know, they're in late 20s, if not some mid 20s. But you got these kids coming in. They're younger, faster, bigger. And again, draft capital tells it all. You know, the kid was taken the 22nd pick overall, I believe. Like, in the first round, like, yeah, no. Like, he's going to play, dude. If not now, sometime in the near future, as they say.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you more updated as time goes on. This was the AFC draft recap, round for round, pound for pound. So we will catch you next time. We're gonna do the NFC, and again, be sure to subscribe, like, comment. Let us know if there's anything you want to hear special. We got a lot of new stuff now to talk about.
Yes.
Maybe get into some mock drafts soon.
Yes, absolutely. Especially
I know this
for
guy
rookie
is
draft.
too good for mock drafts.
I never
now.
said that.
Yeah,
I just said I don't need to. But
well, again, this is the Fantasy Wise guys. I'm your boy Mike Meals.
Joey Puma,
Master your game.
master your game.